Hey, welcome back to Money Mondays. Donald Henderson here. Today we're going to talk about cash flow. Why is cash flow so important? Why is it more important than savings? In this video, we're going to go show you some of the basics of cash flow and why having a substantial, sustainable source of income outside your job is crucial. What is cash flow and why is it important? Well, first of all, let's say why it's important. It pays your bills, okay? When you work for a living, the money goes in the bank account, you turn around and pay for your bills, right? You get cash flow from your job and you're trading your time, which means your life, for money. What happens when you don't work? You don't eat, right? So most of us work in order to, have our lifestyle, to pay the bills, to survive, thrive, whatever. Why is cash flow more important than savings? Okay, savings have their purpose, okay, but it's really not intended to live off of. Why does Robert Kiyosaki say or call savers losers? Well, primarily, there's several reasons. First reason is that you put money in the bank and sure you make an interest rate, but compared to the inflation, your money is going away. Whether you have it in a bank account or have it stuffed under your mattress, you're losing the value of your money because the value of the money is going away. And plus, if you're living off your savings, that's not sustainable either because think of it as a cup of water. And you take a sip and take a sip and take a sip and eventually it's all gone, right? So savings, really, we can't live off that because it doesn't last. Whether you live off your savings from your income, save from your job, you're putting some extra aside every paycheck, your 401k, say you're living off that, or a lottery winnings proceeds from selling something, like selling a house and you got some money left over. You can live off it for a while, but it's not going to last the rest of your life, most likely. That pot of money shrinks over time by both inflation and also by taking withdrawals. Now, when you think about your checking account is like a cup of water that has two hoses in it. One is putting water in, like from your income, and another hose going out for your expenses. So hopefully, we all want this, our inflow is greater or at least equal to our outflow. If it starts going the other direction, our outflow is greater than our income, then we start getting into trouble. So, you can't work forever. And what I mean by that is, number one, you're going to die someday. But other things can happen that causes you not to be able to work. My generation, people younger than me, have an attitude that I'm probably going to end up working till the day I die. And some people do. But in the meantime, you may not be able to work until the day you die for various reasons. One is age. As we get older, we're not as energetic, we're not as strong. Sometimes up here starts to go away. You're not able to do what you did when you were in your 20s and 30s. So, things like that, trying to do things to increase your income, like promotions or going to school, getting another job, better job, those kind of things, those opportunities evaporate over time. So your age, disability, I've known several people that, were going strong and suddenly they had a disability. Death, of course, and a lot of other things. Like I was saying, you couldn't work as much as you did as when you're younger. You may get tired easier. You can't perform like you used to. But things like disabilities and medical situations, say for instance, if you work in a shop and you have a shop accident that you lose a finger, you're going to have to adapt to that. How am I going to be able to do my work when I'm missing a finger? Or, you're in a car accident and you're not able to walk anymore. A lot of the different things can come up in your lifetime that keep you from working. Well, what are you going to do? You still need that income. You still have expenses, and possibly you want to put some money aside so you can go take a vacation now and then. Now, things like disability insurance, that's helpful, but that doesn't last forever. And generally, those kind of incomes are not as high or not as much as what you do when you're working for a paycheck. So those are things you got to consider. It's like, how am I going to keep my lifestyle or at least pay my bills if something happens to me? Same thing if you have a patient, if you're an older employee or your old employer goes belly up. This has happened with the airlines when airlines have died over the years. Pilots have a great pension or had, and then they think, well, it's still going to be there. Well, when the business goes away, so does the pension. Well, there are ways you can insure your pension as well, and that's through the federal government, kind of like FDIC with your bank accounts. But they don't pay 100%. So if your company goes up, you can't count on that either. Your income will go down or may go to zero. So let's bring in passive income. And when I say passive, people think like, well, I don't have to do anything and I make money. Well, the reason why I do the air quotes is that to get things started or to maintain it, to keep it going, does take some of your time, effort, and some money. Let's see here, I lost my place. When you take, why is passive income important, okay? The thing is that you want money coming in so that, you have the ability, say if you do become disabled, or if you lose your job, or if you want to take a vacation, sabbatical, whatever, you need a steady flow of income because, like I said, if you don't work, you don't eat. So passive income helps with that. I wouldn't call it an insurance policy, but it's a way that you always know you can sleep better at night, that as you're not working, you still have an income. The fast track on what the CashFlow 101 is when you get into that position. So how does this work in the cash flow game? Well, when you start out, you're in the center circle and you're going around and around and around like you do in most board games. That's called the rat race. So basically you're working, the money goes in the bank, and then that money goes out for expenses. So to get from the rat race to the fast track, what you need is passive income that meets or exceeds your expenses. And once that happens, you get into the fast track. And why is that called the fast track? Is once you're able to free yourself up with your time, your resources, your money, everything else, and focus on things that are going to give you passive income, you can build that and it mushrooms, okay? When that happens, you no longer need your job, okay? I want you to hear that. You no longer need your job. You can keep your job if you want to. I mean, some people have a great job. They love it. They look forward to going into work every day. Doctors, lawyers, professional people, even people in the crafts, in the trades. I mean, I've known people that really didn't need to work in construction anymore, but they did it because they loved it. But the thing is when you get in the fast track, it's no longer needed. Warren Buffett said, if you don't find a way to make money while you sleep, you will work till you die. That is so true, especially today, these days. I don't see it changing anytime in the future of people if they don't have passive income, sleep money as he calls it. You're gonna work until the day you die or become disabled or whatever. So what are some of the forms of passive income? Well, if you write a book and it sells, once you write that book, that's the work, okay? You gotta create it, you gotta come up with the ideas, you gotta flesh it out, you gotta get with a publisher, somebody who can proofread what you type up or write down. That takes time and money. But once it gets out there and gets published and people are buying it, you get royalties, what's called royalties at the end of the year, or depending how it's set up, you may get it quarterly, monthly, whatever. That money comes in, but it's coming in because people are buying your book, but you're not working anymore. You're not working on that book anymore. It's not like every week you go in and you have to re-edit it to sell it again, okay? It is in the process of making you money. Same thing with music. These music artists over the years, they published their music back in the day before, we had free forms of music. Once someone makes an album or whatever, when people buy that album, they make money. Also on radio stations, when they used to put music out on radio stations, people would make money by that because, of course, radio stations make their money through their advertisers by you listening. And then when they play it on the air, that goes back to the artist as well, okay? Acting, how many actors have you heard about in your lifetime that haven't acted in years and they're, multimillionaires, they're still living the life? It's because they're getting royalties off the work that they did to create that film, okay? And then also building businesses. The idea of building a business, well, there's several reasons why people do businesses, but one of the big reasons is the passive cash flow. And when you build a business, one of the things you always want to keep in mind is that you want to build it so that you do not have to be in the business. You work on the business, but not in the business. And what I mean by that is you don't go in every day, okay? You go in for whatever reason to keep the business going, but you have employees, you have systems in place so that it can run without you, okay? When you get to that point, you can go take a month-long vacation. Have you ever had a month-long vacation? Okay, most of us get days off or up to 2 weeks off. But when you build that, and it's going to take time, it's going to take effort, it's going to take money, of course, like anything else. But once it gets going, you have that steady flow of income. Another thing to do for passive income is investing in other people's deals. And what I mean by that is you can invest in people's businesses because you can be a financier of someone else's business. Say they need money to buy some equipment for a restaurant, and then they start paying that back to you. Or, if they have shares, if they have stocks, whatever, you can buy into that or be a silent partner. Same thing with real estate. You can buy real estate that's already set up, get the people in place to manage it for you, and you have passive income. Or someone else has real estate and you invest in that. Like, again, you can be a silent partner. Or other investments that pay more than the rate of inflation. And why do I say that is that, you watch advertisements on TV and they talk about the returns on the money you invest. I'm going to put down below one of the websites that I've gone to that's called Trueflation. And what that is, it's a free website, and it'll tell you what the real inflation rate is. What the government tells you, they manipulate that so that it's lower than it really is. Because I can tell you the last few years with grocery prices and gas prices going up, and they tell you what the inflation rate is, you go, I think it's higher than that. You have that feeling. But anyhow, I'm going to put a website in there for you to look at so that when you're investing your money your time, whatever, into ways to create passive income. You want that income to exceed the inflation rate. Here's another thing why you want to do passive income, because you have control, okay? When you buy real estate, say a house or an apartment building, you have control over that. Okay, when you are an employee, you have very little control over your income. You can change things in your business or different factors in your real estate investments so that it can create more income for you. Say you buy a house that needs work, you get it fixed up, and then now the next time you rent it out, it has more value to the renters, so they're willing to pay more, okay? There's things you can do. Sometimes at work, ask me how I know. You can do everything that your manager, your bosses, the company tells you to do that'll take you to the next level. And when it comes around to your year-end review, they'll find a way not to allow you to do that, okay? But it's about control and power over your own destiny. And again, you don't always have to own something. We'll get into this in other videos down the road. You don't always have to own something to make it an investment. Ownership is important. However, the concept of control is more important. And I think I went over this in one of my other videos, like for instance, when I was in college, to give you an idea of what control means. I was renting out a 2-bedroom apartment, and every school year, summers usually I had the place to myself. Every school year I would increase the rent. And at first what I started out with, since it was a 2-bedroom place, I thought, well, it'd be fair just to charge them half of the rent and so split it with them and go from there. So I was paying full rent, they were paying half the rent, so I got a 50% discount, okay? By the time I was getting ready to graduate, I was charging my roommates full rent. In other words, they were paying for my ability to live in that apartment. And what does that mean? Is that I had control. I had permission from my landlord, but I had control over that unit. I had the rental agreement. It was month to month. Thank goodness he didn't ever increase the rent. But the thing was, I was able to increase it because of the market, okay? He was kind of lazy in that regard, but I controlled that unit. I didn't own it, I controlled it. So I was able to rent out to other people the other room, and they had, privileges, use the kitchen and everything else, of course. But I controlled it, and I was able to make income, or at least have them pay for my rent. So that's what I mean by control. You don't always have to own something to control it, okay? Getting back to inflation, in a previous video I told you about when I laughed when my boss gave me my raise, okay? That's why I want you to look at that link that I'm going to put down below about what inflation is like, because when inflation is, well, let me back up. Say if you get a 3% raise and inflation is 3% or greater, you didn't get ahead. But when you actually look at the real inflation rate, you realize that the money you're sitting in the bank and you're making, I don't know what they give you now, I don't even look anymore, but for savings or checking, they give you like up 0.5%, 1%, whatever. Okay, you're not making any money, because real inflation, or even the inflation they tell you, is greater than that. So when you're doing in your investments, and also when you're working, you need to be aware of inflation so that you don't just accept 3% when inflation is 6% or 10% or whatever. You're still going backwards, okay? The reason for these courses is that I'm trying to help you not to go backwards, but to move forward, to get ahead of the game. All right. So why am I telling you all of this? We need to find a way to make our money work for us, even when we sleep, like Warren Buffett was talking about. And when I say work for us, when you have a job, you have income. Well, instead of using that income for your expenses, use that to invest in other things that'll pay for your expenses. Again, this is from life experience. I've never been fired. I've never been laid off. It's a blessing, because I've known a lot of people have both. As you can tell, I am older. I'm not a kid anymore. But things do happen in your life to where you are no longer able to work. I want to tell this to the younger people. You're not going to be 20 years old the rest of your life. You're full of energy, you're strong, your brain works really well. But as time goes on, you lose some of that ability. Your vision, how are you going to work if you lose your vision, or you've lost some of your vision? Say like if you're somebody who needs binocular vision, say if you lose one eye or the vision in one eye, can you still be an airline pilot? Probably not. So there's a lot of things that life throws your way that may keep you from making the good income you're making now. Even the young folks, you've probably through history and also from your own experience, how many businesses have disappeared, you know. Like, this isn't too long ago, like Sears. Sears, when I was a kid, Sears was one of the big department stores. I mean, everybody and their brother went to Sears to buy something. Go to the mall, they don't exist. Look at the malls. The malls, a lot of malls have been either torn down, refurbished, or repurposed. Like a lot of them, they're converting them into, medical facilities, or they have doctor's offices, things like that. Malls have disappeared. A lot of things. I mean, aerospace, I worked in aerospace. Aerospace in this country is all but dried up. I mean, I remember on the West Coast, you had a lot of plants in the Seattle area, Washington area, Boeing. A lot of those plants and campuses have gone away. They've moved them out of state, or they've downsized. What else? They used to see a lot of, even pizza places. The pizza places that were around when I was a kid aren't around anymore. So if you were working for any of those companies, chances are you would have gotten laid off. And some of the skills that you have in those companies aren't transferable to some of the companies that are working today. So you'd have to get retooled, retrained. So anyhow, we need to look for ways to back ourselves up with passive income so that we always have a source of income whether we're working or not. And please, if you have a mindset, I'm going to work till the day I die, get rid of that. Do not do it. It's not fun. Trust me, after I retired, I've tried a few other jobs, and you know what? I realized working is not something I can do much anymore. Okay? So get your money working for you, get creative, get your creativity working for you. Think outside the box, think of different ways you can make money. Look at what areas, what industries that fit you or you fit it as far as creating it, whether it's a business or something to invest into. Also start learning about that more. Do your research. As I always say, my mantra is do your own homework. Don't believe what I'm saying or any other guru. Do some research. Find out if what they're telling you is true, okay? So the goal here is creating some sort of passive income to supplement your current income. Make your job into your side hustle eventually. You're making money investing, you can keep your job for a while. Or if you really love it, keep it. Make that your side hustle, or it became your hobby that actually makes you some extra money. We all have gifts. Now what I mean by that is we all have talent. We have ability to do certain things in certain ways. What I can do, you can't, and vice versa. So look at your things that we'll get into this on a purpose video later. Anyhow, just remember, just because you're getting older, or just because you've had a disability or you got laid off, doesn't mean it's the end, okay? We all have some gifts, some abilities to do other things as well. We do have skills that are transferable to other industries and companies, okay? So with that, I guess that's all I'm going to say for today. Think about this. Think about some passive income. What are you good at? Are you a good writer? Are you a good storyteller? Write a book. Start a podcast. Start doing videos on YouTube. There's all sorts of ways you can make some money. Now, like doing YouTubes, here's the thing, is that, yes, you're going to have to keep doing videos occasionally. But once you get a following, once you get people commenting on your videos and the like, the algorithms will pump you up and more people will see you, which is good, because whatever you're talking about, you're going to reach a bigger audience, which is good for you, good for them. You can make money doing that. But the thing is they'll go back and look at your old videos. You don't have to redo them in order for that to monetize. Same thing with a book. If you're a great storyteller, write a book. You got something to teach somebody, write a book, do a video, do a podcast. And if you're very creative, artwork, you're very creative is in the engineering world, create some new widget that, people are going to need. Okay. So anyhow, that's it. We can do this. All right. And I want to encourage you to do that. Don't quit your day job. Don't quit going to college. I'm not going to tell you to do that. But think about this. This is something we need to think about. And even if it's the side hustle or the passive income concept you have won't make a lot of money initially, at least you have another source of income. The thing is the more sources of positive cash flow coming towards us, when they talk about investing in diversification, the better. One may dry up. Nothing's guaranteed in life. Anyhow, that's a wrap for this week. Take care. I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.